Imagine a tractor so advanced it could replace an entire crew, but cost more than the land it worked on. In the past, manufacturers didn't just build machines, they built dreams on wheels. Gigantic harvesters, experimental tractors, and farm monsters packed with technology decades ahead of their time. On paper, they promised to revolutionize agriculture. In reality, they shocked farmers with one brutal detail: the price tag. These machines weren't failures. They were too good, too complex, and far too expensive for real farms to survive with. One by one, they disappeared from fields and into history. Today, we uncover 10 legendary farm machines that were too expensive to survive. Icons of ambition that burned bright, stunned the industry, and vanished forever. Number 1. John Deere 8010. For decades, John Deere dominated row crop and utility tractors, but in the articulated four-wheel drive market, it relied on outsourced designs. By the late 1990s, Deere decided it was time to build its own high-horsepower monster from scratch. The result was the John Deere 8010. Introduced in 2002, the 8010 was Deere's first fully in-house articulated 4WD tractor. It produced over 350 horsepower and was packed with technology. It featured advanced electronic controls, a modern cab, high-capacity hydraulics, and a completely new drivetrain designed by Deere engineers. On paper, it was revolutionary. In the field, it was impressive. In the marketplace, it was a disaster. The 8010 was extraordinarily expensive. Its price placed it far above many proven competitors. At the same time, early units suffered from reliability issues in the drivetrain and cooling systems. Repairs were complex. Downtime was costly. Parts were expensive. Large operators admired it. Very few bought it. For farmers, the risk equation did not work. Why pay a premium for an unproven design when Steiger and Versatile offered proven machines for less? Deere's brand loyalty could not overcome the financial reality. After just 2 model years, the 8010 was pulled from production and replaced by the redesigned 8020 series. The 8010 did what it was built to do. It proved Deere could engineer a world-class articulated tractor. But it also proved that even Deere could not sell a machine that cost too much and asked farmers to gamble. It became legendary not for its success, but for how quickly it vanished. Number 2. International Harvester 308080 2+2. In the late 1970s, International Harvester faced a problem. Farmers wanted more traction and power, but many were not ready for massive articulated tractors. IH engineers created something radical, the 2+2 series, led by the 308080. This machine placed the engine and front axle ahead of the cab, with a pivot joint in the middle. It was part row crop tractor, part articulated machine. It kept the familiar feel of a conventional tractor while offering four-wheel traction and better weight distribution. In the field, it worked. The 308080 pulled harder than conventional tractors of similar horsepower. It handled large implements with stability. It offered better visibility than giant 4WD machines. For many farmers, it was the perfect bridge between old and new, but it was expensive. The 2+2 used complex driveline components, custom frames, and specialized parts. Purchase price was high. Repairs were costly. Dealers needed special training. Farmers worried about long-term ownership costs. Then disaster struck International Harvester itself. Labor strikes halted production. Debt mounted. By 1985, IH sold its agricultural division. The 2+2 line ended abruptly. Farmers who owned 308080s loved them, but few were willing to invest in such an expensive, unconventional machine during an economic crisis. The 308080 became a cult legend, a machine that solved real problems yet arrived at a price and time the market could not accept. Number 3. Ford 976. Versatile. By the late 1980s, Ford knew its days as an independent tractor manufacturer were numbered. The company had already entered partnership with Versatile to offer true high-horsepower articulated tractors under the Ford name. The most ambitious of these was the Ford 976 Versatile. This was a serious machine, producing well over 300 horsepower. The 976 was designed for the largest farms on the continent. It used a Cummins diesel, a heavy articulated frame, and massive driveline components. In capability, it stood shoulder to shoulder with Steiger and Versatile's own top models. But the price was brutal. The 976 cost significantly more than comparable competitors. Ford's dealer network was strongest in utility and row crop tractors, not in the world of giant 4WD machines. Many Ford dealers were uncomfortable selling and servicing equipment of this scale. Farmers, meanwhile, saw little reason to pay a premium for a tractor from a brand that appeared to be exiting the heavy horsepower market. And they were right. In 1991, Ford sold its tractor business to Fiat. The Ford name vanished from tractor hoods. The 976 line ended almost immediately. Owners were left with enormous, complex machines from a brand that no longer existed in agriculture. The 976 was not a bad tractor. It was powerful, capable, and field-proven. But it arrived at the worst possible moment, carrying a price tag that required long-term confidence in a company that was about to disappear. It became legendary as one of the last true Ford giants and one of the most expensive bets farmers were unwilling to make. Number 4. Fendt Favorite 926. Vario. When Fendt introduced the Favorite 926 Vario, it did something no major manufacturer had dared. It offered a continuously variable transmission, CVT, as standard in a high-horsepower tractor. This was not a gimmick. The Vario transmission allowed infinite speed control from 0 to top speed with no gear changes. Engine speed and ground speed became independent. Fuel efficiency improved. Operator fatigue dropped. Precision work became effortless. Technically, it was a masterpiece. The problem was the price. The 926 Vario cost far more than conventional tractors of similar power. In the late 1990s, most farmers were still comfortable with manual gearboxes. CVT technology was new, mysterious, and feared. Dealers struggled to explain it. Mechanics struggled to service it. Many farmers said the same thing. It's amazing, but I can't afford it. In Europe, the 926 Vario became a status symbol. Contractors and wealthy operations adopted it. But for the average farmer, it was unreachable. The machine worked perfectly. It delivered everything promised. It simply cost too much for mass adoption. Over time, CVT became mainstream. Today, almost every premium tractor offers it. But the 926 Vario paid the price for being first. It survived only in limited numbers, sold mainly to elite buyers. It was not killed by failure. It was priced ahead of its time. It became the tractor that proved the future, at a cost the present could not bear. Number 5. Claas Xerion 2500. When Claas revealed the Xerion 2500, it did not resemble any tractor farmers had ever seen. It looked industrial, almost military, with a squared body, equal-sized wheels, and a frame built more like a heavy transport vehicle than a farm machine. Even more radical was its rotating cab. The operator could physically turn the entire cab to face the rear of the machine, allowing the tractor to be driven in either direction with full visibility and control. Claas did not present the Xerion as a simple tractor. It was marketed as a system machine, designed to replace multiple specialized units. It could perform heavy tillage, high-speed road transport, PTO work, silage pushing, slurry handling, and even forestry tasks. Under the body was a powerful Mercedes-Benz engine, full-time four-wheel drive, and a complex hydrostatic mechanical transmission, designed to handle extreme loads smoothly and precisely. In operation, the Xerion delivered exactly what Claas promised. It was incredibly stable, immensely strong, and versatile in ways no conventional tractor could match. Contractors who used it found that one machine could perform jobs that normally required 2 or 3 different vehicles. It reduced operator fatigue, improved visibility, and made certain tasks faster and safer. But all of this came at a price that most farms simply could not justify. The Xerion cost far more than a conventional tractor of similar horsepower. It required specialized implements to fully exploit its abilities. Maintenance was more complex. Many dealers had limited experience with such a unique platform, and farmers worried about long-term service and resale value. Even those who admired the machine struggled with the idea of investing so much capital into a single, unconventional unit. The Xerion was not unreliable. It did not fail technically. It did exactly what it was engineered to do. The problem was economic reality. Farming is built on risk management, and few operators were willing to stake such a large portion of their business on one ultra-expensive, ultra-specialized machine, no matter how capable it was. Claas eventually refined the concept and repositioned it into a niche product line, but the original Xerion 2500 disappeared. It became legendary as the tractor that tried to be everything at once and proved that brilliance alone is not enough if the price exceeds what agriculture can bear. Number 6. Big Bud 747. No farm machine in history captures imagination quite like the Big Bud 747. Built in 1977 by Northern Manufacturing in Montana, it was commissioned by a single California cotton farmer who needed a machine capable of preparing enormous fields faster than any existing tractor. This was not a concept and not a prototype. It was a fully operational production machine designed for real agricultural work. The scale of the 747 was unlike anything before or since. It carried a massive 16-cylinder Detroit diesel engine, producing more than 1,000 horsepower. Its tires stood taller than most people. It was designed to pull implements over 80 feet wide, allowing a single pass to cover what previously required multiple tractors working together. In the field, it worked exactly as intended. The 747 could prepare vast acreage in a fraction of the time required by fleets of conventional machines. It reduced labor, compressed working windows, and made industrial-scale farming practical on the largest operations in the western United States. Yet the economics were unforgiving. The cost of building such a machine was enormous. Fuel consumption was extreme. Transporting it between fields required special planning and equipment. Maintenance demanded custom parts and specialized knowledge. Only the largest farms on Earth could even consider owning something of this scale. There was no mass market for a machine like the 747. Only one was ever built. The Big Bud proved that engineering limits in agriculture were far higher than anyone had imagined. It also proved that farming budgets are real, finite, and unforgiving. The machine did not fail. It succeeded completely at its purpose. What failed was the idea that such power could ever be affordable on a commercial scale. The 747 became a legend because it showed what was possible and at the same time why it could never be repeated. Number 7. Case IH Magnum 7280 Pro. When Case IH introduced the Magnum line in 1987, it changed the direction of tractor design worldwide. The Magnum combined high horsepower, comfort, and reliability in a way no row crop tractor had before. At the top of that revolution stood the 7280 Pro, a machine that represented the cutting edge of late 1980s farm technology. The 7280 Pro was not just powerful, it was intelligent by the standards of its time. It introduced advanced electronic engine management, digital monitoring systems, and refined hydraulic controls that allowed farmers to work larger implements with unprecedented precision. The cab was quiet, sealed, and designed for long days. Controls were grouped logically. Visibility was excellent. For many operators, it felt like stepping into the future. In the field, the tractor delivered everything it promised. It pulled heavy tillage equipment with ease. It handled large planters and grain carts effortlessly. It became the center of many progressive farming operations. Compared to older mechanical machines, it reduced fatigue, increased efficiency, and made long working windows sustainable. But the technology that made it exceptional also made it expensive. The purchase price was high for its era, and ownership costs were higher still. Early electronic systems were unfamiliar to most mechanics. Repairs required specialized tools and training. When something failed, it could not be fixed with a wrench and a hammer. Downtime became more expensive. Farmers who were used to repairing everything themselves now faced diagnostic screens and control modules. Many admired the 7280 Pro. Fewer could afford the risk. The Magnum line survived and evolved, but the earliest Pro models quietly faded away as electronics improved and costs stabilized in later generations. The 7280 Pro became one of those machines that arrived too early, asking farmers to pay premium prices for technology that the industry had not yet learned how to support cheaply. It proved that the future of tractors would be digital. It also proved that being first comes at a price few can bear. Number 8. Mercedes-Benz MB-Trac 1800 Intercooler. The MB-Trac series was unlike any tractor the agricultural world had seen. Built by Mercedes-Benz, these machines were engineered with the philosophy of heavy trucks and military vehicles. They used portal axles, full-time four-wheel drive, and centrally mounted cabs that gave equal visibility in all directions. The most extreme of them all was the MB-Trac 1800 Intercooler. This was not merely a tractor. It was an industrial vehicle disguised as one, powered by a turbocharged, intercooled Mercedes diesel. Producing around 180 horsepower, the 1800 was built to survive in the harshest environments. It could work in fields, forests, and construction sites. It hauled heavy loads at speed. It ran PTO-driven equipment with perfect stability. Everything about it was overbuilt. Frames were thick, drivelines were massive, components were engineered for decades of service. In performance, it was exceptional. Operators praised its balance, traction, and road speed. It could replace both a tractor and a truck. In mixed operations, it became the ultimate all-purpose machine, but it carried a Mercedes price tag. The MB-Trac 1800 cost far more than conventional tractors of similar power. Parts were expensive. Service required specialized knowledge. Many farm dealers could not support it properly. For ordinary farmers, ownership felt more like running a piece of industrial infrastructure than agricultural equipment. Only wealthy operations and contractors could justify one. Most farmers admired it from a distance. Mercedes eventually exited the agricultural tractor market. The MB-Trac line ended in the mid-1990s. No successor carried its philosophy forward under the same brand. The 1800 Intercooler became legendary because it showed what happens when a company builds a tractor with no compromises. It also proved that farming economics do not reward perfection when perfection costs too much. Number 9. Steiger Bearcat ST440. By the late 1970s, horsepower was becoming a competition in itself. Every major manufacturer wanted to claim the title of the most powerful tractor in the field. Steiger, already famous for its articulated giants, answered with the Bearcat ST440. This was a monster even by Steiger standards. Producing over 400 horsepower, the ST440 was built for the largest operations in North America. It used a massive Cummins engine, a heavy articulated frame, and drivetrain components designed to survive continuous, brutal loads. It was intended to pull implements so wide that ordinary tractors could not even attempt them. In the field, the Bearcat delivered. It ripped deep. It pulled wide. It allowed massive farms to reduce the number of machines and operators needed for primary tillage. In the right hands, it transformed scale. Jobs that once took days could be completed in hours, but power has a cost. The ST440 was enormously expensive to purchase. Fuel consumption was extreme. Tires alone represented a small fortune. Maintenance was heavy industry level, not traditional farming. Only the largest and most profitable operations could justify such a machine, and even they hesitated. The late 1970s and early 1980s were also the worst possible moment for a tractor like this to exist. Commodity prices collapsed, interest rates soared, farms failed, credit tightened. Suddenly, even large operators became conservative. A tractor that consumed enormous fuel and demanded enormous capital became a liability. The Bearcat ST440 was not flawed. It did exactly what it was engineered to do. It simply belonged to a version of agriculture that few could afford during an economic collapse. Production ended after only a few years. The idea of 400-plus horsepower lived on, but the Bearcat itself became a symbol of excess in a time that demanded restraint. It remains legendary as a machine that proved how far power could go and how quickly the market could say no. Number 10. New Holland TV140 Bi-Directional. The New Holland TV140 was one of the most unconventional production tractors ever sold. It was fully bi-directional, meaning the operator could rotate the seat and controls and drive the tractor equally well in either direction. Front and rear were functionally interchangeable. Implements could be mounted on either end, and the tractor was always facing its work for tasks like mowing, municipal work, snow clearing, forestry, and specialty agriculture. The design was brilliant. Visibility was unmatched. Weight distribution was ideal. The operator always had a clear view of the tool. Productivity improved. Fatigue dropped. Technically, the TV140 solved problems that farmers had accepted for decades. Economically, it frightened them. The tractor was far more expensive than conventional machines of similar power. It was complex. It required specialized training. Many dealers did not understand how to sell it. Farmers struggled to place it within traditional farm operations. It did not replace a normal tractor. It demanded a new way of working. Those who bought one often loved it. But most farms could not justify paying a premium for a machine that only excelled in specific roles. It was too specialized, too different, and too costly for mainstream agriculture. Production ended quietly. The TV140 did not fail because it was wrong. It failed because it asked farmers to rethink their entire workflow at a price few could afford. It became a cult machine, admired by those who understood it, unknown to most. It proved that innovation alone is not enough when it arrives wrapped in a price tag the market cannot accept. These machines were never weak. They didn't vanish because they failed. They vanished because the world around them wasn't ready to pay the price of the future. Each one was a glimpse of what farming could become, wrapped in steel, horsepower, and impossible ambition. Some were too advanced. Some were too complex. All of them were too expensive for their time. Yet their ideas didn't die. Pieces of their technology live on in the tractors and harvesters working fields today. Every GPS-guided tractor, every automated harvester, every smart farming system owes something to these forgotten giants. They may be gone from the fields, but their legacy still plows the future.